So it's like, do you put your pinky out for this, or
keep it fancy?
Cup of tea.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm Jake Noonan, your host of the Chair 9 podcast. Today, I'm sitting down with Shannon Dunn and Maggie Gonzales from Boarding for Breast Cancer. You guys go ahead and jump in and introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I'm Shannon Dunn. I am so stoked to be here at Dodge Ridge. Like, I've never been here before, and it's like the hidden gem. I can already tell. As far as introductions, I was a pro from 1990 to 2005. Olympian, co-founder of Boarding for Breast Cancer, and we're really here. And thank you guys for hosting us for Boarding for Breast Cancer.
Absolutely.
I'm Maggie Gonzales. I'm the event and outreach director of Boarding for Breast Cancer. Excited to be back at Dodge Ridge for year 2. I think last year was our biggest fundraising event here at Dodge Ridge, so excited to be back for a second year.
Awesome. What was the number? What's the number to beat this year?
14,000.
14,000. That's pretty incredible. And where does that money go towards?
So all of it goes towards our education, prevention, and survivorship programs. So we are on the road about 100, if not more, days a year, teaching people how to do self-exams and what potentially cancerous masses feel like. So we have silicone jelly breast molds that show the different tissues that you're feeling for. We teach people how to check themselves, what's normal, what's not normal. And then we also take survivors on retreats. So we normally do anywhere from 3 to 6 retreats a year, where we go surfing, snowboarding, mountain biking, a bunch of different outdoor activities. And it's just a really great way to connect women going through a similar journey. And we have a very holistic approach. So we bring in whole foods chefs, acupuncturists, Chinese medicine doctors, different types of holistic therapists.
That's great. That's great. So obviously going through chemo and going through this treatment can be pretty tumultuous and take a toll on your body. With these people that you're taking out and getting back into nature and getting out there, do you hear any stories about the positive spin of getting to use their body in a positive way again after going through something so intense?
We do. A lot of the women that come to our retreats, haven't lifted their arms over their head in a few years or as long as they've been going through treatment, and now they're going out surfing and being able to use their arms to paddle, or just your body goes through so much trauma with cancer. So it's for us a way to help. Like we said, nature is medicine, and just being outside and getting active is so beneficial. So we do hear from a lot of women that it's a really positive way of relearning their body, reusing their body after going through so much trauma.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it just I've heard that several times where the women are like, I just kind of forgot the love I have for the sport and the community and to be out in nature. It just like literally brought them to tears just expressing that.
I'd imagine.
So it is a big deal to just do what you love and be in nature, and
super special.
It is.
So Shannon, you talk about being a pro snowboarder and then transitioning over into boarding for breast cancer. How did that kind of kick off?
Yeah, we started Boarding for Breast Cancer in 1996, and it was on behalf of our friend Monica Stewart, who was at first she was kind of dismissed by the doctor, and she just kind of pushed the doctor, and by the time the doctor ran tests, she was at stage 4, had stage 4 breast cancer. And at that time, that was, in the 90s. And so it was kind of unheard of that young women had got breast cancer. We thought it was like an old grandma disease.
How young was she at the time?
She was like 24.
Okay.
And she really didn't find that much information. And it was really before like you could Google everything, So we asked her how could we best support her on her journey. And she's just like, well, let's create awareness. And so Boarding for Breast Cancer was born. And that first event was at Sierra at Tahoe. And it was just, a crazy event. If you want me to expand on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I listened to I think it was a bomb hole episode or another
Tina.
podcast. Yeah, Tina's. So yeah, that first event, can you walk us through how that transpired and just kind of the background on that?
Yeah, so in the 90s, there were just like a handful of women in the snowboard industry on the business end. Monica Stewart, who got breast cancer, and how we started Boarding for Breast Cancer, was on the business side of things. So co-founding along with me is Tina Bassich. You know, we traveled together, traveled the world, and we're pro snowboarders together. And then Lisa Hudson was another one. And so we were just trying to figure out, like, what should we do to promote and bring awareness to breast cancer. And we thought, well, we'll speak to our people, our community, and we know how to do events. And so we started an event at Sierra at Tahoe, and we thought it would be fun just to have a festival to make it like a really fun, engaging event and bring awareness to breast cancer by like having the jelly molds and just having like more of a fun atmosphere. So there were contests and everything. And so Tina Bassich was roommates with Adam Yauch, who's a Beastie Boys, part of the Beastie Boys. And so we asked him if he could bring his band to the resort and play, and he said yes, but it had to be under the name of Quasar. They couldn't play under the Beastie Boys. So that was amazing. So Adam called Tina like the day before Boarding for Breast Cancer, the event was going to be on the mountain. And he's like, hey, can you set us up with like a place to practice? We just want to go through the set list. And he's like, how about like find a pizza place? So we drive up to a couple pizza places. They're closed because this event was in the spring. So a lot of places in Tahoe were closed. And then we go into this one pizza place and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, our manager's gone. And we're like, dude, you don't even know what you're doing right now. Oh my gosh, who doesn't want to host the Beastie Boys? So then Tina calls Sean Palmer, who has a place on the South Shore. And he happened, the kid that picked up the phone's like, Sean doesn't live here anymore. And she's like, well, do you want to have the Beastie Boys come over to play, like just practice? And he's like, thought she was joking, and she's like, I'm not kidding. And he's almost, I think, crapped his pants. And so it was this little teeny cabin, and they removed all the furniture, and the Beastie Boys played, and it was completely nuts. Just talk about something going viral.
There's videos on YouTube if you look it up.
Yeah. So Tina's brother Mikey had like the old video camera, and so you can see the whole house is like thumping up and down. It was like the roof and the walls were gonna fall apart. Oh my goodness. And it was crazy. They had to cut it short because people were just getting totally out of hand and just freaking out. But it was so much fun. And then the next day was the event, and it was, there were like 10,000 people. We raised so much money, so much awareness, and here we are 26 years later here at Dodge Ridge. So stoked to be here.
No, that's incredible. So circling back to your friend, what was her name again? I'm sorry.
Monica Stewart.
Monica Stewart, who, you said she was 24 at the time.
Yeah.
It's not common back then. There's not much research behind it or, detection. Something that's like near and dear to my heart. So my mom actually passed away. She didn't have breast cancer, but she had melanoma that metastasized in the breast, and she passed when she was 37. And just talking with my dad, even, with melanoma and cancer as a whole during that time period, there wasn't a whole lot of young women getting that, and it was kind of like passed off and again misdiagnosed and then caught too late at the time, which is unfortunate. So I think it's really incredible that you guys started this and are now rolling with it. So
thank you. Well, we depend on support like you guys are giving us, and we really appreciate the love and just spreading awareness through your resorts, like a really big deal.
How did you guys meet? What's that backstory?
Boarding for breast cancer.
Yeah, through Boarding for Breast Cancer. I started volunteering at 19 with Boarding for Breast Cancer and have been along for the ride ever since. I was volunteering and then started interning in the office, and then kind of slowly just weaseled my way into now being the event director. So I've been here for about 12 years now.
That's great. So you guys, you said work about 100 or ish time or days out of the year. Is that just going to different resorts? Where is the money coming in as far as donations and the fundraising? Where do you see the most success?
So our events are like really what keeps us going. So education and prevention are such a big part of what we do, and by being on our Love Your Peaks Winter Series tour, we're able to reach so many people at different resorts nationwide and in Canada and Japan. So being here fulfills so much of our mission while being able to fundraise. When we see a few thousand people at the resort that day and we get to have them come talk to us and touch our boobs and learn how to do self-exams, to us that is, like accomplishing our mission. We have so many people that, we were at X Games in 2002 and, it's a 15-year-old guy who touched boobs for the first time as a teenager and then comes back, 15 years later and says, "Thank you, I found my wife's lump because I learned through your breast molds and I knew what to look for."
Mm-hmm.
And we hear stories like that all the time.
Yeah. How do those stories make you feel when you do hear them? Just the success stories, or that you guys are, that it's coming to fruition and that you're learning that. I'd imagine that makes you feel pretty great.
It does. Yeah.
Yes and no, because you don't want to hear that anybody found it, but it feels like an accomplishment that we were able to help somebody catch it early, just through teaching how to do it.
Absolutely. With those molds and stuff coming in, so when you first started, I'd imagine it's kind of taken a new form and that you guys are expanding and, as you go along. From where you started to now, what would you say the biggest difference in how you guys operate is?
We used to start the events, put on events, and now we really partner with resorts and with other events so that it's a lot easier to just tag on to another event because we didn't want to be event organizers. And so I think we're just more efficient tagging on to what you guys have, or, when we can partner with a resort.
When you first started out, was it difficult to set that up, or do you think just being in the industry and being well known, that kind of played into having connections and being able to establish that?
I think it just evolved because it's such an ordeal to set up an event. So if we could simplify that and get our message out even more, that's the goal. Our goal is to create awareness, bring awareness, and promote a healthy and active lifestyle, and then provide those survivor retreats, which is pretty new. It's like a newer thing, which is awesome. The survivor retreats, go on to the B4BC.org website for more information, but those are incredible. They're really personal. They're hosted with Megan Pischke, who was a pro snowboarder, and she's also a breast cancer survivor herself. So she really takes great care to host those events. Yeah.
So going on that website, then what's the process behind doing that? Is there an application that you fill out?
There is. So it honestly kind of depends on the year, but our goal is to do at least 5 a year. But we'll put out applications usually 2 months to 3 months in advance. And we always post those either on Instagram, through Facebook, our website. And anyone who is going through their breast cancer journey, whether they're like freshly diagnosed, in the middle of treatment, or post-treatment, are all invited to apply. And we usually only have about 10 to 12 spots per retreat. We try to keep them pretty intimate. And we literally pull names out of a hat.
Okay. Quite the arduous process of getting accepted there. And picking out.
But we've seen just like an overwhelming response in applications. So it's been really hard to be able to only pick 10 to 12 people. So that's just something that we're really trying to grow right now, and trying to be able to serve more women. And one way that we can do that is we have a private Facebook group. So if anybody's watching and wants to join, send us an email and we'll send you the link. And it's just a safe space for women going through a similar journey to connect.
Are you both able to go on those retreats with those women, and can you walk us through what that's like? You said it's pretty intimate, so.
It is. I've been on a few, and it is really just a special place of connection and healing. We believe that nature is medicine, so for us to be able to get these women back on snowboards for the first time since going through treatment, or even for the first time ever, and getting to learn something new after going through something so hard, is just it's a really special like thing that we get to do.
No, that's great. I'd imagine too, I mean, going through the treatment, and I mean, my mom passed when I was 2 years old, so I didn't get to talk with her about her experience, but talking with my dad, it seemed pretty grim and like there wasn't much hope back then. So I'd imagine being able to witness this people in the treatment, post-treatment, and just, I'm sure, like lighting up with smiles on their faces has got to be a pretty incredible feeling. So
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of tears. I'm gonna tear up thinking about it right now.
I bet.
Yeah, but it's so cool, to see somebody who has never skied or snowboarded before and taking their first turns, and like it clicks, and it's just such an exciting moment and such a confidence builder.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's pretty established. You guys are doing these events 100-something days a year. You're, taking these women on retreats, post, pre, recovery. With that, where are you hoping to go and expand with Boarding for Breast Cancer? Or do you think you've kind of met where you guys are at? Like, are those wheels turning and you're like, what else can we do? Where else can we go?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, even in the last 10 years since I've been involved, we've had so much growth. We used to do maybe like 5 Love Your Peaks. It used to be called Shred the Love, but we used to do a few events a year, and then some outreach events. But now, it's almost every single weekend we're at a different event, and really getting to like spread our mission so far and wide. But last year, we just expanded into Japan, which Shannon can talk a little bit more about. But we're also expanding into Canada, too. So we've been hosting retreats in Canada and are in the process of getting our nonprofit status in Canada.
Wow.
But we just got it in Japan.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Do you want to dive into that expansion into Japan and Canada? What goes into that?
My long-term friend from Japan, Tomo, had breast cancer. I've known Tomo since 1992 or something. She's awesome, and she's like, I call her she's like my sister. She's super funny. So she had got an early stage of breast cancer and got it all removed, and everything's fine. And she's been a part of the, our Boarding for Breast Cancer events since they started. So she's very familiar with us, and she wanted to bring that to Japan. So she, made it happen. I mean, it's kind of a process because you have to get like the nonprofit status and everything on the international level, and she ended up figuring that out. And this is her second year, and it's just, Japan's kind of like more of a reserved culture, and it's a little bit harder, I'd say, for them to communicate about intimate personal issues. So she's kind of getting involved and really making big breakthroughs in that way, which is pretty awesome for their culture. And, whenever you can talk about something difficult and come together, it's going to be a positive situation,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and with the support of Burton Japan, we've been able to get, they're a little different than the ones that we have, but some like silicone breast molds in resort restrooms.
Okay.
So it's still like a little private, but women that are going into the restrooms can see them and feel them and learn in a little bit more of a private way.
So when did that expansion occur in Japan? Like, how long has that been established over there?
Last year.
Last year.
Last
Wow.
year, yeah.
Yeah, brand new.
Okay.
Yeah, they just hosted a ride day with Tomo and Megs, who is with us, and her husband, DCP. And I think it looked like maybe like 75 people show up for that. Yeah,
That's
so
a
we've
good
had
show.
a really overwhelming, like, good response in Japan.
Yeah, they're going to have another event, and they're partnering with the Burton Mystery Tour in Japan, which is awesome. So thanks to Burton Japan for that.
That's huge. So how does Burton tie into what you guys are doing? Is it just staying in communication with them? Does it spur from just being in the industry?
Just relationships,
Just relationships.
I mean, we get so much love and support from different companies in the snowboard industry. So it's great. Yeah, those are all relationship built.
Yeah, and health and wellness. We've had Live On Labs, a really great vitamin brand, has supported our Love Your Peak series. So they're part of the reason that we can be on the road and travel to all these different resorts. We've had Capacity Brewing, they're non-alcoholic. Yeti, just a bunch of different, like, really incredible partners.
That's great. So today is the event that you're hosting here at Dodge Ridge. It's February 1st. This episode won't come out until next week, so people will miss it. But I'm assuming you guys will be back next season as well, and you just continue to do this. Can you walk the listeners and the people watching through kind of what's going on today in today's event?
Yeah, so our Love Your Peak series it just depends on the season, but we go from anywhere to 15 to 25 resorts throughout the year. And the main goal is to teach people about early detection and prevention and spread awareness, but we also do on-hill pink activities. So part of the prevention is getting people outside doing something active. 30 minutes of exercise 3 to 4 days a week can significantly reduce your cancer risk. So that's a huge part of our prevention pillar. So we've got a pink poker run going on today. So there's going to be 5 different stops around the mountain. People can get a different playing card at each one, and then the top 3 hands will win prizes, which this year is a cash prize.
Woo-woo.
So exciting. And then we'll have raffles, auctions, and then we'll do a tribute ride at the end of the day led by Shannon. And that is for everyone to go out and just take a collective lap in honor of somebody that they love.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So last year you said it raised $14,000 here alone at Dodge, and
Just
that
at
was the
Dodge,
biggest
just here alone.
ever.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. I'm sure that the listeners, and I mean me growing up and riding here, that makes me super proud. Just the turnout that we have in the small tight knit community. I'd imagine with Boarding for Breast Cancer, it's kind of that same tight knit community. Can you speak on that and just how amazing it is to do something you love and are passionate about in a
I will say, showing up here last year, being our first year here, the thing that impressed me the most was how tight-knit of a community this is and how many people showed up in pink. I think it's like the most pink I've ever seen on a mountain ever. So thank you guys for that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we really do have such a great community of supporters, volunteers, and people just like around us that really make everything happen. We have our skate series that happens during the summer. So we have Skate the Lake up in Tahoe, and I mean that's
so fun.
Yeah, that
Like
is
really special. If you guys can make it, it's very unique and special.
It is. That's another event that we have where, like, the word that I think of when I think about that event is just community.
That's amazing.
We're a grassroots organization. Everything is so personal, and that's, like all of the funding just gets back for us to go personally talk to people. So I really appreciate that about Boarding for Breast Cancer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with all these events that you've hosted and stuff, can you kind of dive into your favorite stories that have come from this? Just
okay, well, I already said the Beastie Boys showed up. Whoa, that was
something about a riot helicopter.
Then the stage almost broke, and then there was a mix-up with the city policemen who thought there was a riot going on, but instead there were just 10,000 freaking out people because they were watching the Beastie Boys live and in person on the mountain. So they called a heli, and suddenly there was a heli telling everybody they had to break it up, and then people were throwing snowballs and like, what are you talking about? Because we're just having the best time of our lives.
And this is the first event that you hosted?
Yeah. And that was just mayhem and so crazy and so much fun and memorable. I do want to say it was unfortunate that Monica Stewart, who we did this event for, didn't make it. But I am so thankful that we're getting her message out all these years later,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Any favorite stories from you? Were you at that first event as well, or did you kind of come into the game a little bit later?
Maggie was just born.
I was 2 years old.
Okay.
But I always say that's like my dinner party question. If there's one time that I could travel back to, that's what it would be. I would love to experience it. But no, I just get to tell their stories to everybody else.
That's great.
But I mean, plenty of stories. I mean, we have so much fun on the road. There's going to be chaos. There's going to be crazy situations. I mean, Maggie almost ran over a
wild
turkeys,
but it's just like getting together. We have fun even though we're doing something kind of intense in a way, and dealing with people that have gone through some serious situations. But I think we come like for life, like to celebrate life and it's fun. And
Yeah, I think it's a great way, like I said, to take something that's grim and usually people are down and out and just put a positive spin on it and let them know that they have people to lean on and that you can still go out and do these great things. And yeah, like it doesn't necessarily always have to be grim, and it's just a positive light on that. So I think it's great what you guys are doing. Yeah,
and I think that's like our retreats really try to bring such a positive experience out of something that is so hard to go through. And I think those are my favorite parts about what we do, is getting to be at our retreats and see someone accomplish something, like catching a wave or like taking their first turns. And those moments are just like really what keep us going, like Shannon said, celebrating life.
And it's really cool. I think people really want to share what they've gone through, because people will just come up to me when I'm at an event, and I know everybody here at Boarding for Breast Cancer, they'll just start sharing their story. Like they need to share that, and I guess we're a place to provide that. And it just shows the importance of being able to communicate something that's hard that you're going through, and especially to come together in like a like-minded community, like snowboarding, surfing, action sports. Pretty cool.
Absolutely. I think too, just comparing the tight-knitness to the mountain, I think that's something that I'm proud of Dodge Ridge, is like you said, it's the most pink you've ever seen out there on the mountain. And again, I carry that with pride. Like I love working here. I love the community that I've established, and it's great to partner with you guys. Looking forward to next year. So Shannon, this question's for you. Growing up in the industry and kind of walking us through your history of being a pro snowboarder, the X Games were these past few weeks. What would you say is the biggest change? And can you kind of walk us through how inspired you are by what the women are currently doing, and just kind of how it's evolved from when you first started to what they're doing now?
Yeah, I'll just say from the get-go, the women right now in snowboarding and skiing are phenomenal, like mind-blowing. And I think across the board, everybody wants to watch the women, you know, at the X Games or the Olympics. It's like those, instead of watching the men, you want to watch the women. They are pushing the limits. It's like equalizing men and women's sports. It's pretty exceptional. And these women are not only crazy great athletes, but they are like great spokeswomen, and like they're beautiful. And not that you have to be beautiful, but they are beautiful inside and out. And so just on a professional level, it's amazing. So I started snowboarding in 1988, and I became pro in 1990. And the entrance into pro snowboarding was you either competed in racing or half pipe. And so I loved pipe, and I loved the freestyle aspect. And the pipes were like 5 feet tall, and everything was new and evolving so fast. So in the 90s, like, you know, the progression was just like this, but there weren't too many women. We definitely had a group of women, and, you know, we were supported by the snowboard industry and the guys. But, you know, Tina Bassage and I went to it was the second Red Bull big air jump, and we were denied access to going off the jump. We're like getting our stuff on, getting ready to go off the jump, and they're like, sorry, you can't go. And we're like, why can't we go off this jump? Because you are girls. And we just looked at each other like, oh, what? Okay, now we're definitely going off this jump. And so we had to like negotiate with the event organizer to actually go off this jump during the event. And we were like the halftime show. So, and it was a 60-foot jump. It was pretty legit size. And when we pushed him so far, we're like, uh-oh, now we have to go off this jump. And I kind of wanted to do a spin or a trick, but I was so scared. Like, I had to land this trick, and if I tried like a 360 or something and I fell, that might be the end of us girls, like going off jumps like this. So I better just stick it. So now to see girls spinning to 1440s, I can't even keep track, but like
so many spins.
Yeah, Mia Brooks and Zoe and Anna Gasser saying she's so old at 33. What, Anna Gasser? She has this incredible athleticism. Like, she can just go for sure till 50. If I could do what she's doing now at 50, I could be doing that right now. I guarantee she's in for the long haul.
That's great. Can you walk us through, do you remember when you medaled in the Olympics, what your run was through and just kind of how those feelings at the top of the pipe when you're competing?
So a big thing people don't really think about is the format. So back then in 1998, that was the first snowboard Olympics, and that was held in Nagano, Japan. And I went and competed in half pipe. But so the format was you take 2 runs, the combined run of the 2 runs wins. So you have to do well consistently. And the pipe was like 15 foot, which was kind of considered a super pipe back then. Now they're 22 feet tall. So a big difference in the pipe. That day it was like pouring rain. It was just like this. It was like actually lightning and thundering, and they threatened to postpone it because it was kind of dangerous. So they let us run. It was soaking wet. And so, yeah, I do remember my run. And my first run was perfect, and it was the highest score of the day. So it was like, to me, I was like, I achieved my gold medal run. And then the second run, I went very last, so I had to watch everybody else compete. And I just kind of slid out in a slush puddle. Thankfully, I didn't really fall, but it caused me to kind of lose speed. So then I got third. And I felt like thankful that I got third at that point because I could have not podiumed. But to me, that day was pretty special. I achieved what I wanted to do. I did get the highest score of the day. And it just goes to show it's like one event. You never know what's going to happen. And that's awesome to be at the Olympics. And so for me to take away just being a participant at the Olympics is pretty exceptional. And I had so much fun, and I have tons of stories about the Olympics. I had a great time.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
She was also just inducted into the Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Ooh,
along with Tina Bassett.
Okay.
We were able to be inducted at the same time, the same year. Yeah, we were the first 2 women athletes in snowboarding to be inducted into the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Hall of Fame. So
That's a huge honor,
fun.
I'm sure. So
Yeah.
yeah, sitting in the presence of legendary status, I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Feel pretty
all
good.
about legendary, but it's like growing up in the 90s, we didn't know what snowboarding was going to become. We were trying to build the sport, especially for women. We wanted more women participation, and just again to come back to the women's competition and all the little girls that are on the mountain now and getting into the sport competitively too is just unreal to see.
Amazing.
She also has a story about her kids finding out she's an Olympian. That I think is like one of the funniest stories.
Okay.
They just find the medal laying around, or what's the backstory?
Well, when my kids were in elementary school, like kindergarten and second grade, something like that, there was a book fair. And so my oldest son and his class were in the library, school library. And my son's best friend yells, because I heard the story later, Logan's my son. Logan, your mom's an Olympian. Here's the book to prove it. And he's like, what? And so they come running out, like I'm at the pickup line at school in my white minivan, and I push open the door, and in come a flood of kids, and this book shoved in my face, like, you're in this book. It says you're an Olympian. You're an Olympic medalist. And then my kids are like, Mom, are you famous? Mom, is this true? Like, this is new news to them, So that's how they found out I was an Olympian.
That's pretty special. That's pretty special. So as we close out here, just where can people get involved with this event? Where can they find you guys? Are you on social media? What's the best way to get a hold of you guys if they want to get involved? Or
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at B4BC or online at b4bc.org.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Yeah, B4BC.org.
Okay, awesome. Well, great. Yeah, any closing statements that you guys want to make, feel free. And if not, it's been great sitting down with you. I'm excited to get out there on the mountain and see all the pink that's going on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, and thank you just to the whole Doddridge community. We're so grateful to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Doddridge. Thank you so much, Hannah, who I think inspired everybody to get us up here. Thank you, Doddridge, so
Can
much.
we tell Hannah's story about how she was involved?
Yeah,
Hannah, come
absolutely.
over
Go
here.
for it.
Yeah.
Hannah's
Come over here, right here.
Sorry.
Hannah's sitting in the background. This is our marketing director at Doddridge, ladies and gentlemen, hopping on the podcast for the first time. So,
This is not my normal.
yeah. So, Hannah, how did you get involved with Boarding for Breast Cancer?
I'm going to age myself for a second. Goodness. In 2006, you have a high school senior project that you have to do.
Okay.
And Bear Valley was my home mountain. And so I brought this event to Bear Valley as my high school senior project and raised $500.
Wow.
And both of my grandmothers had breast cancer. One of my grandmothers had it twice. And it's just a near and dear story to my heart. And being proactive as a young woman myself and having a daughter of my own, it's something that I advocate for since I was a very young lady. And last year I reached out to Maggie and was very persistent. And I really want you guys to come to Dodge. It's such a special place. And then when I met Maggie for the first time, it was like serendipity. Like we got along so well, and you could just tell like the people in this community, in the ski industry, we are special. Like we're special people that work in this industry and bringing the community together. It was an awesome event, and we set the bar so high last year. So when Maggie was like, "Oh yeah, we're coming to Dodge this year," and yeah, it's going to be a great day. There's a little bit of weather outside, but our goal is to reach 15,000 this year.
Awesome. That's incredible. Well, thanks so much for hopping on, Hannah.
Yes, I love both of you. So thank you for having me.
And yeah,
Thank you for coming here.
persistency obviously pays off. So now this event is here, and we'll be here for many years to come.
Yeah, we're so excited. Thank you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank
Thank you guys
Jake.
so much.